Rise and shine, superstar. You're watching Provoking Purpose with Lele Nsibande.
Rise and shine to all my stars and welcome back to my channel. You are watching Provoking Purpose with Lele Nsibande. On this channel, we speak all things vision, purpose, and intentional youth. And so if you think that is a community you would like to be part of, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the family. Let's grow and glow together. Now, I will admit I have kind of lost my bearings when it comes to like filming and just provoking purpose. I feel as though I'm in a season where I feel very naked emotionally, very vulnerable, very exposed, and I think all of that is a result of a lot of my prayers that I did not expect to manifest this way. So lesson number one, be careful what you pray for because you will get it. I once had a conversation a while back with my friend and we were just speaking about how sometimes we ask God for things and we are shocked about the package that it comes in. Sometimes we ask God for things and we are blown away that the package that those things came in is not what we necessarily anticipated or expected, and it is tough cookies. It is sour grapes. It is difficult to process and swallow. I think a lot of people are familiar with the idea of you are currently living in a past prayer from the, I would say, perspective of gratitude. Like, we are familiar with that saying from the perspective of you probably prayed that you would have a certain lifestyle, and now that you are in that lifestyle you have a different set of problems, and the purpose of that saying is to just get you to be reminded that you are currently living in a blessing that you used to ask for. But I want to tackle this video and I have no idea which direction it's gonna go in. I really just wanted to flow in front of the camera and not just have like points. I have an idea of what I want to speak about, but not how it's gonna go. So excuse me if the video is a bit messy. But as I was saying, like, I want to attack this video from the perspective of sometimes you pray for things and you don't even know that you're praying for certain kind of problems. Okay? You're praying for turmoil when you pray for a certain blessing, because things need to be uprooted, things need to be exposed, the ground needs to be fertilized. It's about to get shitty. It's about to get shitty, and you don't necessarily realize that when you're kind of just, you know, keeping the analogy of the soil, but you're kind of just praying for a certain kind of flower. You're like, oh God, I want to have those kind of roses in my backyard too. And you don't know what it costs. You don't know what it costs. You think it's just planting a seed and God making it grow and protecting it from being eaten by birds and this and this and that. But there is something that happens to you when you pray for things that look beautiful on the outside. There is something that goes on in your life, and I feel like this year, but more specifically the past few weeks, have been that thing that I have prayed for. And yeah, I just want us to get deeper into it. I do want to be 100% transparent and 100% honest. I am not in the worst place of my life in terms of, it's not all bad. It's really not all bad, to be quite honest. Like, I do have a lot of blessings that are in my life right now that I'm so grateful for, and I'm just like, yo God. But then there's a lot where I'm just like, yo God, you know, like I'm shook. Like, I'm just like I have a long way to go. One thing that I specifically want to speak about in this video is self-awareness. What the season has brought me is a different kind of self-awareness. I feel like I'm the type of person that goes between like the past and the future. Like, I'm very reflective, and so I can go into my past, I can look at things that happened, I can understand them or try to understand them, try to piece things together. You know, I enjoy that. That's why I'm able to do videos like this, because it allows me to go to a place where I go naturally. And then I enjoy like vision boarding, and I love the hope that the future brings me. And I also just genuinely believe that these are all things that God has told me are going to happen in my life. And between me and you, if I say something's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. The people that know I'm not saying I'm manifesting a million, but when I speak life over my life, it manifests, and I've seen it time and time again, and I am grateful that God has trusted me with the mind that I have and the spirit that I have. We're off ramping, but I go between heightened levels of self-consciousness and heightened levels of self-confidence. And recently I've been forced into a place where I'm in this heightened level of self-awareness. I'm so exposed and vulnerable that I have no choice but to be present. I heard a TikTok where a guy was speaking about being present, and he described it as being where your feet are, like exactly where your feet are. That is you being present. And I have been chokehold and wrestled into that position where I am forced to confront who I am right now, not who I was once upon a time, because there's comfort in the distance that I've made, and not who I have the potential to become, because there's hope in who I can become and that distance that I'm still yet to make. But where I am right now, and the good and the bad about where I am right now, it was really hard because a lot of the things that I pray for have to do with character. They have to do with me becoming a certain kind of person in order to hold those things, to be an overseer, to be a manager, to be a steward of certain things. And I want to be close to God, and I want to be who God says I am. But that is a dangerous prayer, and that is something that I have learned recently, that is a dangerous prayer. When you say, God, I want to be who you say I am, I mean, it has its blessing and its promise connected to it, but it is dangerous in that it comes with a lot of hard work. It comes with a lot of responsibility and reflection and vulnerability and nakedness and truth and honesty and discomfort. Ooh, turmoil. Literal turmoil, which is what I could say I have been experiencing, being forced to go into rooms that I prefer to go into alone, because I do not have to be vulnerable to how ugly that side of me can be, and having people close to me being able to see those things up close with a microscope, having to have me confronted and be accountable, have all been difficult things. And I'm not going to describe a specific thing, but I just want you to know that there's a place. There is a place that you are going to go before you get to where God said you're going to be, before you get to where you envision yourself to be. And that place looks a lot like failure, a lot like disbelief, a lot like letting go of arrogance. One thing I learned a lot about myself of late is that I am overly confident sometimes. Sometimes I believe in God so much that I think that like it's me, you know, that I am the chosen daughter of God. And, you know, like every person, I'm not going to claim that I'm this big bad narcissist. I think we all have our heightened moments of narcissism where we overlook and we over calculate our ability and we over count on our strength, and I've had those moments where I've had to be like, yo, I am not as strong as I thought I was. And I thought that having an inclination or talent in some areas equated to me not having to constantly work that muscle in relationship with people, in connection with people, in connection with myself. Like being, for example, being empathetic does not mean that you do not have to consciously be aware of how you are affecting other people. Being self-aware does not mean that you do not have to be consciously aware and accountable for how you treat other people. Yes, those are inclinations that you have by virtue of your programming and your personality growing up and your parents and your childhood and your upbringing, you know, you. But at the end of the day, you are still responsible for progressing in the way that people experience you. You are still responsible for progressing in the way that you interact and show up in people's lives and give to people. You know, you are still responsible for the way that you give to yourself. You may feel like you're in a season where I'm giving more to myself than I was in the past, but that does not mean that that's it. Maybe now that you've been able to have the strength to say yes to you, you need to start asking yourself, why did you not have that in the past? Don't overlook it. It's an important part of the lesson, which is what I'm learning, that it's not about getting over the issue. It's not about undoing the habit and moving on. It's about asking yourself, where did that habit come from? Where did those things stem from? Why were they there in the first place? What did they mean to you once upon a time? Even though now you are at a place where you have committed yourself to a higher level of behavior or action, where did that once upon a time you come from? What does that mean? And how does she still show up in your current day-to-day, even if it's not on the level that she used to show up? Maybe she just shows up in your eating and not in your relationship. Maybe she just shows up in your, relationship with God and not in your relationship with people. Like, analyzing myself where I am right now has been the most difficult thing, and I'm not here to tell you that. And I found out that I'm just giving you an update as to where I am right now. I think I have committed myself to this platform, and sometimes it gets so dark in my own life that I don't know how to share light, and I don't want to create videos that are discouraging. And I'm so afraid that this video might be discouraging, but I want you to know that real life is happening behind this camera, and I want to share that real life with you in a way that empowers you, even if it does not excite you. So let's get into it. What is the point of this video? I think I'm gonna end it this way. I was in church a few weeks back, and my pastor said, where God has placed you, he has called you. And I always had this, saying in my head that I had running in my head, that I am exactly where I am supposed to be. But in him saying, like, where God has placed you, he has called you, it made me ask myself, like, a question in that statement. Like, yes, I am exactly where I am supposed to be, but am I doing exactly what I am supposed to be doing? Yes, I'm in this season of vulnerability and nakedness, and I'm crying a lot, and I'm having a heightened sensitivity to everything. People can say 2 words and I could be like, ooh, I need to go to the bathroom because I need to cry. Am I doing exactly what I should be doing? Am I building a fence, or am I digging deeper and asking myself, why am I so vulnerable? Why is it so hard for me to go to that room in my past, but it's so easy for me to go to the first floor, the second floor? Why is it so easy for me to share this and this and not this? Like, what are you doing where you are currently placed? Yes, it's terrible. Yes, it doesn't feel good. But what are you doing? Not what are you doing about it? What are you doing? What are you taking away from the season? What is it teaching you about yourself? What are you open to learning? You understand God's principles. You become so frustrated, one, because they're so simple, and God is so consistent in who he is. When they say God is not changing, it's because God is a character. He is a being of character. He is and always will be the same way, the way he shows up, which is the hardest thing to understand and the hardest thing to take in and allow to take root, but it's also the most comforting thing because there's consistency and reliability. When you pray for things, the Bible speaks about how as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, right? So when you pray for things, God is going to get to work on your heart. Out of the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks, right? So your language is going to change because your life is going to be disrupted so that your heart can be disrupted. Your thinking is going to change so you can become a different person. Out of the heart flows the issues of life, right? So your heart is going to be, I don't want to say attacked, but your heart is going to be pursued in whatever it is that you pray for. And you need to understand that your prayer is not going to come with a light showing you this direction. It's going to come with trouble that is going to test you and expose you to yourself, to show you who you are, and to show you what you need to work on in order to become the person who can possess certain things. That's how I see it. You know, I don't want to like be too forward and say like that's the way it is, but that's the way I see it. That when you pray for things and all of a sudden things start going left, right, and center, it's because God is trying to show you something about yourself. You're praying for money, but your life is falling apart. Why is my life falling apart when I ask for money? Well, because you're not managing your time. How are you going to manage a resource that you have exactly 24 units of when, you know, like if that is difficult for you to manage, how are you going to manage 24,000 Rand? You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you going to manage 48,000 Rand or 50,000? Now the numbers are getting complex. You are not a steward in your character. You suck at managing things. And so God is trying to show you that when you get your life in control, you can have control over anything that you want. That money will come to you. Why? Because I'm connected to the source of all things possible, and hence all things possible are possible for me. So if God has everything in the world, I just need to become the person who can handle that everything that he has at his disposal. That's the way I see it once again. And so I just want this video to kind of just give you some hope in your turmoil. I think hope is the word. Some hope in your turmoil, and challenge you to have the guts to face yourself wherever you are right now. Be present. Be exactly where your feet are. Look at yourself in the mirror. Who am I today? How did I treat people? How did I treat my time? How did I treat myself? How did I treat my finances? How did I treat my goals? How did I treat me in relation to everything that I value in this life? How did I treat my relationship with God? I want you to have the guts to confront yourself and know that that confrontation is the step in the direction of whatever it is that you want, or that you have prayed for, or that you have practiced yourself having in your mind, because that is a form of prayer. And so I'm going to end the video here. I really hope you enjoyed this one. It might be a bit heavy, it might be a bit difficult to watch. For me, I feel a little bit lighter. I do still feel a bit stuck in the funk that I've been in, but I am really happy and grateful that I am here and I am filming and I am sharing and I am growing. And hopefully with time, I know with time that things will align and work out for the best. So please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with a friend.